You got the work done for him, and he's been doing real well, but he didn't do so hot there that night. That would explain it. Is he back in? He is.
Doesn't do I'm like a transfer order.
He's done really good for a long time.
Okay.
We used to chase that
It's
ball
just a cash transfer for the
all over
general.
town.
It is a new one? Yes,
He's done really good for a long time.
it's a replacement to the one you have.
He's not as young as he wants to. Morning, Judge.
Travis, did y'all review those committee?
Is that yours?
We did this morning.
Big discrepancy in them.
Get my new stuff in here.
Old stuff?
Do you want me to take the trash one?
Oh, sorry.
Do you want me to take the one that's the trash after the transfer? Transfer and bills. I'll just put it in there.
There you go.
That's my copy.
Yeah, I was gonna take the highlighted one was in it, right? Yes. You don't have to decipher between the two.
I'm doing it too, no.
Everybody was worried. Yeah. Travis wasn't. He knew where I was.
I wasn't the least bit worried about it.
Morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Greg, how are you?
You had plenty of time, Greg.
Oh, yeah, I'm good. 30 seconds to spare. That's exactly right.
I will go ahead and tell you in advance, we do not have the heat on, but we do not have the air on either. We're in transition. So it may get a little stuffy in here, but just bear with us. Roll your sleeves up.
Mitchell.
Okay, looks like it's 9:30. We'll get started. Well, welcome, everyone. We want to welcome you to our Clark County Fiscal Court meeting, and we appreciate those of you who have taken of your time to be with us here today. I'm going to ask if we would stand for an invocation and remain standing for the pledge. Almighty God and Heavenly Father, we're thankful to be here this morning. We thank you for each and every one that's here in this building and in this room with us. We thank you for the traveling mercies that you've granted to all of us this morning. We pray that you would be in this meeting, that your Spirit would be in this meeting, that you would bless each and every one of us that serve on this body as we try to do the business of the people. Bless us all as this meeting concludes and give us traveling mercies back to our homes and businesses and wherever we're going to. We ask in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, at this time, we'd like to call our meeting to order, and we'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Magistrates Constantopoulos,
Present.
Thompson.
Here.
Graham,
Present.
Elkins.
Present.
Davis.
Present.
And Blanton.
Here.
Thank you. Public comments, do we have any, no one
I
on?
think Jennifer,
Jennifer?
I think
Okay,
she-
we'll invite Jennifer
I
up.
think she came in late.
Okay, that's fine. We want to, we always want to offer an opportunity for public comment. If you just give us your name and the address of your home or place of business, whichever you want.
I am Cameron Correll. I'm with the Winchester Design Studio, 11 South Main. And I am here speaking on behalf of Main Street Winchester regarding Halloween Mania. Ms. Jennifer and I are planning Halloween Mania this year to be October 29th from 6 to 8. It's a Saturday. And it'll be happening here in downtown Winchester. This year we're doing things a little differently. They're still going to have the normal trick-or-treating tables set up with community members and organizations passing out candy. But we're also looking at doing some more fun, exciting things to get downtown a little bit more happening during this event. So there'll be an inflatable for the kids to play with. There's going to be some food trucks set up. Kentucky Farm Bureau is generously donating hot dogs and water for the event. And then we are also going to have live music. And then we know in the past that sometimes it can be a burden on the downtown businesses to participate because of the amount of candy that has to be provided, but we still wanted to highlight these businesses in a way that was accessible to them. So we will be having a downtown scavenger hunt. The businesses do not need to stay open during this time. They just have to place a Halloween or fall-themed item in their window to be included in the scavenger hunt. And then we're generating a little limerick based on these items that the youth will complete and then turn in for a prize. I think it's going to be free ice cream to Dairy Queen. Jennifer and I are here today to ask for financial support for this event. We are asking the Fiscal Court for $500. This will help pay for the bouncy house and additional candy to help supplement our tables that'll be passing out. So we are expecting about 1,000 kids, but who knows what that number will actually look like after a few years of not having Halloween Mania. So we want to make sure that there's enough candy for the kids throughout the event. And then the bounce house it's not a bounce house, it's a slide kind of thing like they had at Rock the Block in the past. So that's why we're here this morning.
Okay. And I saw an email circulated, and if a business or an entity wanted to participate, they need to email ahead, because are you going to do a map?
Yes,
Of who-
so
okay.
we are still accepting signups right now for people who would like to set up a table to pass out candy. You can either email me, or there's a Google form that you can fill out. That was probably emailed to you as well, and we're going to create a map to assign spots this year.
Okay.
And then there's like a waiver you have to sign as well.
Okay. I'll open up to the court masters. Do you all have any questions or comments? You've heard Cameron's presentation.
I'll make a motion, we take 500 from the community fund.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor by Magistrate Thompson to allot $500 from our community foundation funds.
Second.
Second by Magistrate Blanton. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you,
you.
Cameron. Thank you,
Thank
Jen.
you.
Did you want to say anything, Jennifer? I'm sorry. Morris, okay. Well, we appreciate you being here. Thank you all and good luck. Okay. Any other public comment? Just didn't want to miss anyone. Okay. We'll move ahead, magistrates. We have minutes of the September 22nd meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Magistrate Davis, second by Magistrate Blanton. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Then we have minutes of September 30.
Most approved.
Motion by Magistrate Blanton.
Second.
Second by Magistrate Davis. Discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. You have your transfer order.
So moved.
Motion by Magistrate Davis to approve the order.
Second.
Second by Magistrate Thompson. Any discussion?
Just one quick question is made with the jail committee. Where are we at on the federal inmates? Have we heard any more in regards to that? Because I
Yeah,
know
the jailer should be here in a little bit to give us an update on that.
He's gonna talk about it at the same time we talk about the HVAC.
Yep. Yeah. But your question will be answered. You'll like the answer.
Oh, good. That's a tease, Greg.
I'm sorry, jailer, if I stole anything. But yeah, that is a tease.
But it's a good tease, though.
That's right.
Any other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. You have your bills list?
I've got a question.
Yes, sir.
Back on the contribution to the sewer project,
Uh-huh.
of course, we all know that's for a grant match and this and that and the other. Just what happens to that money if this whole project goes south and it doesn't require as much or requires more or it's not done? What happens to that $3 million of funds? I mean, once we transfer it to them, we can't make them give it back.
That's correct. That's correct. And I'm not exactly sure of that answer, and Alicia, I don't think you are either.
I mean, I want we give them other funds, and then I still, I've got the requirement to monitor the project or the funds. And that is all that we know. Like, I don't know what
And
happens at that point.
We're going to try to work with the sanitation district so that when they do spend that money, that they would report like invoices and what
Well,
have
I
you.
guess my second question that is, if they just need some of this money to pay engineering and this and that and the other, it would be my preference just to pay what they need to pay right now as opposed to giving them the whole $3 million today. If they've got $100,000 in engineering bills, I would much rather pay the transfer the $100,000 and give them the $100,000 as opposed to $3 million, given the whole project really isn't ready to go yet.
Well, and that question would be to me basically because the judge's office prepares the bills list, and we prepared the bills list off the resolution that this fiscal court approved by majority vote. And we talked with the county attorney, and we had to find a procedure and a process that would fit in with county government regulations, DLG regulations, and federal government regulations. So it was an authorized expenditure by the fiscal court in the form of a resolution. So I did not have the authority to put it on in part, so that's the reason I put it on in whole. Does that make sense, Robert?
It just doesn't seem very physically responsible to transfer that amount of money without some firm justification for the whole thing, not knowing what's going to happen to it if the project don't happen.
Well, I can speak to that, Judge, if I may.
Yes, sir. I read.
As somebody who's on the sanitation board, and I've talked extensively with Karen Leverins at Bluegrass Ad, who's of course helped us step by step through this process. And you know, she and I had that discussion, gosh, a few months ago about that very issue. And first of all, she felt like in terms of the CDBG funding that it was a positive to have the fiscal court commit a large amount of its ARPA funds toward the project, because it looks like the county's got some skin in the game, although it's still federal money, it's coming from a different pot. And secondly, on the issue, I mean, we know this project is going to be probably north of $4 million, certainly above $3 million. So if in the event come January, February, that we don't get some or maybe any of the grant money we're hoping for, and I think we're a good candidate for that, then I dare say with inflation being what it is, most if not all these funds will be needed so we can commit to getting this project started. And of course, it was this fiscal court that voted to make that a commitment, and I think it'll be this fiscal court in this term that makes it. Now, if some or maybe none of this money is needed, and I hope that's the case, if I'm on that sanitation district at that time, I certainly had no problem. I don't think the other board members will either with returning, any unused money so we beat that 2026 deadline, and the fiscal court at that point can do whatever it needs to with it, the next court and the next term. But I do think under those circumstances it's appropriate. I'm in favor of it.
Okay.
I'd like to
Yes.
add one thing to what Magistrate Davis said, and then kind of answer a question that Magistrate Blanton just mentioned.
if those funds, Alicia still has to do the accounting of those funds to make sure that they're spent, and by the federal guidelines, we have to spend those monies by 2026, is that correct, Alicia? So any of those funds that have not been spent would have to be turned over automatically just because of the federal regulations to make sure we meet the federal regulations.
But once we
or
write
we'll
this
have a
check,
penalty.
it's spent. Once we write this check, it's $3 million spent.
No, she still has to account for it to make sure that it's used for its intended purpose. Is that not correct, Alicia? So it has to be used what the money was intended to be used for from the ARPA funds. So I support it. And really, this is kind of the first phase of the project. I mean, there's Verna Hills is potentially going to come on. That money is going to be spent on that infrastructure. And ultimately, we're not guaranteed to get any of those grant fundings. I mean, we are a good candidate, but it's not possible. But if that plant fails, it's going to be our responsibility anyway. And, you know, if the money's already allocated for it, we know that the project's going to be taken care of. So I support it.
As far as the $3 million is concerned, if I might add to that just a little bit so you'll know how I was thinking when I voted yes to transfer the funds. Even if the project cost $4 million, the project we're looking at now, and we've committed $3 million to it, but if we get $2 million in grants and we only spend $2 million of that money and that leaves $1 million remaining, there are, and I think Daniel hit on it, other phases of the project that's going to cost above and beyond the initial $4 million that I've just heard put out. But also, as I listen to some of the next court coming up, I think there's going to be significant interest in expanding infrastructure, which is much needed along the bypass. So I think this sanitation district would look at that as well, and that would be work that they would do in the future. As a matter of fact, I would encourage them to. So that was my thinking.
Okay, we're still open for a motion for the bills list.
Motion to approve the bills
Sorry.
list.
A second.
Motion by Magistrate Davis, second by Magistrate Elkins. Any discussion, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All righty. You have your treasurer's report for September. We will note that in the minutes. And also our quarterly report. Yes. All righty. We have employee pay increases according to our administrative code and manual that we will note in the minutes. We have an indigent burial to note in our minutes. Zeta Winburn, date of death was September the 26th, 2022. Okay, we have a condition report of the Clark County Detention Center that we will note in the minutes.
Judge?
Yes, sir.
If we might, as we go through that,
Okay.
I think, that's okay, we'll talk about it when we do the HVAC system.
Okay.
Yep.
Because it's on here, isn't it?
Yep, it is, yeah. I was gonna ask the jailer to come to the microphone, but I think at the
Maybe
HVAC
when we
system would
get
be
to
the good
the-
time to hit,
Okay.
kill two birds with one stone.
All righty. Moving on, item 12, we had a presentation, and we've listed on the agenda discussion and possible action with regard to our human resources and payroll management services. Janet Townsend took the lead on that. Janet, do you want to come?
Well, my recommendation is still the same from last meeting. I think the way to go is ADP. They have waived their implementation fee of $1,500. Logan is here per Greg's request from last meeting. Curtis is here with USI to discuss if you need to or want to about the benefits platform. I think you're spending the money already. It's just hard to identify it the way it's set up. I'm not comparing payroll provider to payroll provider. We are comparing process to process. We have an inefficient process, and I'm asking for your partnership and helping me to make it more effective, more savvy as far as business. We're growing. We're too large to do the way we're doing, so I'm just asking for your help. That's all. So, but it's your call. The county attorney reviewed the agreement. He approved it, said it was in proper form. So I take that as a yes. So if you want to talk to Logan, if you have any questions for me, I'm open.
Okay, do we have any questions for Janet or Logan? with regard to what we're looking at here?
I don't have any specific questions, but I do think the court had some questions, and I don't even remember who it was, the reason I suggested we have a representative be here. I know one of the questions I had was the agreement. I found it hard to believe that there would be no agreement involved with it.
It's not a contract, it's an agreement. That was the.
Same
that was
thing.
The language. Well,
A contract is an agreement.
And
I
we did-
get it, though, it's semantics.
I think we use that word for semantics.
And Janet, we provided that to the county attorney. He did review it. We've got an email that,
Yeah, that was, at the time, that was my big question, is that we're going to enter into an agreement and it's gonna be verbal. I found that difficult to believe.
Then I just misunderstood the question.
Yeah, no, I
did.
get it.
I
That's-
misunderstood
that-
it, because I understood how, the payroll. what we had to
Understandable,
sign, you know,
yeah.
So,
I-
that's on me.
Yeah.
How does the benefit platform integrate into that?
You wanna take this one? Platform?
Curtis, hi Curtis.
Let's see how you know the top, buddy.
The employee benefits platform will allow employees to go and make benefit elections through that platform itself. And from that point, there will be direct feeds that can be set up with the different carriers. So instead of anybody doing like double entry or manual entry, it's all going to flow together in one process. So when I make it, like I'm an employee, I make a benefits election to like medical and, I don't know, just ancillary coverage or whatever else. Once that election is made, it goes into the system and it directly feeds over to the carriers and automatically updates. So cards are issued and things of that nature. And vice versa, if someone terminates coverage, then it's one point of entry where, Janet can go in and, terminate this individual, and it'll feed over to the carriers and terminate them from coverage. So bill reconciliation is a better process on that end, better process on benefit elections, less room for error, just in general, and no more double manual entry, because that can be extremely time consuming. And to be honest with you, 100%, well, I wouldn't say 99% of the groups that I work with, and I work with several, they all have benefit administration platforms. It's very, it's just the way that things are going nowadays. And have been for a while. So it's definitely an efficient way to manage a benefits program.
Okay, Daniel, is that, okay.
That was convenient having Curtis here for that.
I'm always thinking.
Any other questions?
We'll call it a coincidence, okay? Call it semantics, call it what you want to. Any other questions? Just know, I appreciate your time and the energy that we spent this past year. I believe this is the best way to go. I've done this for a long time. I don't take it lightly. And I know it's more money than we had budgeted, but you're spending it already. It's how you want to spend it is up to you.
What do you mean by that, Janet? It's more.
Well, the time that I'm doing, just for example, I've got 12 new people coming on for benefits. 12 people that I'm gonna have to meet with. Either if I can get them in a group, I'll do it as a group. I'm not gonna waste time. Do the paper, I have to enter it, and I'm gonna guarantee you 50% of those people will be gone before they even hit the effective date of December 1st. I hope I'm wrong, but this has not been going on for a month or 2 months or 3 months. This has been going on a long time. Now, I understand the nature of the workforce. I'm not, it is what it is. It's the cost of doing business. But I'm just spending a lot of time in the entry process, and then if these spreadsheets crash, we have very limited resources for reporting. So multiple entries to get them in, multiple entries to get them out, the time it takes to meet and discuss and do what we need to do to be fair to the employee takes a lot of time. Right now, you have a department of one.
But how are we gonna save money?
We save
When you
money
say we're
by-
spending it already, that tells me that you think that we can do this and it not cost us any more
We
money.
streamline it. One
That's
person-
different.
No,
How are we gonna save money?
Because you streamline it by spending less time doing it.
How are we going to save money?
You-
Just answer my question. How are we gonna save money?
My question is, you're not paying me 8 hours a day to do something that I can
So,
do in 3.
so we're gonna pay you less.
No, you're gonna.
Exactly.
But you're gonna allow me to do other things that are detailed in my job description.
So we're not gonna save money.
So now, if you tell me you don't want me to do those, that's a different story.
But let's be clear, we're not gonna save money.
Okay.
I think, and I'm gonna kind of intervene here just a little bit.
I'm just answering the question.
This
We're
is
not
my
gonna save
job.
money. I don't wanna
I
be
think,
that way.
I think kind of the point that you're
I know
trying to
what
make.
she's saying.
We're
She's
not going
saying
to
she can
spend.
spend more time on recruitment, retention.
Right.
I get that. She presented it last time, but we're not going to save.
We're not
money.
going to spend. We're not going to spend
We're
less.
not
money.
going to save money.
Right.
But you
Okay.
save it on those things, when you have people intentionally working on those, that's where your saving comes in.
Okay.
You can talk to Alicia about the benefits reconciliation. We are paying benefits that we shouldn't be paying. We have an issue with Anthem now that they're wanting to cut us off because there's a discrepancy in billing. Those are little things that add up over a period of time. Will you save it the first year? Absolutely not.
Not saving it all.
You're gonna save it in the long run. You're streamlining the system. We look at what we did for the fiscal courtroom, we put the cameras up and the streaming. How many times do we hear, we don't need that, we don't need that, we don't need that? We can't do without it. We talked about the website. We could've gone cheaper, but we needed more. Who would go back to that? So it's just a matter of perspective, a matter of trusting the people that you put in place to do it. Now, I believe there's a saving there. He could be 100% right. I think differently. I think time will tell that there is saving there. It's easier, it's better, it's a better process. It's like, Travis, would you mow a 3-acre lot with a push mower?
I have.
If I did, I'd charge a lot less.
Would you do it? I mean, would you want to do it when you could, that's my,
Well, I think.
it's the right tool.
I think what you're talking about, and I'm just going to paraphrase, productivity.
Absolutely.
So
That's-
I
that's
think,
money.
and so okay.
It's how best you want to spend your money. So, again, I'm asking for your help, your support, but ultimately you all make the decision.
Yeah.
Janet, when you mentioned, you just said something there that sparked something in my memory. You have issues with a billing discrepancy with Anthem. And, if I remember correctly, you all have to manually go through and reconcile each of those accounts and the employees that were enrolled with Anthem. Is that correct?
Yes.
And if I remember correctly, Judge, this has been an issue for many years.
It has been.
With Anthem, and I know that there's been bills where we've been in discrepancies, where we've had bills that have been 3-6 months out that we were still fighting with because we didn't have the documentation involved to be able to get the correct information to them and them get it logged in their accounts and then get it credited back to us. Is that correct?
Yes, and then the challenge with that is, and I'm going to speak because I can remember when I was first county treasurer back in the Stone Ages, and we had a spiral notebook, and we would have all of our employees listed that we had on a certain insurance, and then we would take one away and add one however it would come, and that's the way we did it. We missed things. At times we paid less than we should have. At times we paid more than we should have. Then we progressed into a spreadsheet, and now we've got this. I think we've still got it on a spreadsheet now. But we're going to talk to you all about at the end of the meeting. Alicia and I have a concern going on with our life insurance now. We feel they're trying to bill us $500 too much. So that is a concern, Daniel. We try to keep up with that. It's complicated, and it always has been.
Henry, how do you feel about this ADP
Well,
proposal?
I'll have to say that I would go off the recommendation of Janet because I feel that she deserves an opportunity to, since she has done all the research and all the presentation and everything on this, I feel she deserves an opportunity to try to provide a better system for the county.
I make a motion that we accept the recommendation of Janet and move forward with ADP.
For ADP, okay. We have a motion on the floor by Magistrate Elkins.
I'll second it.
Oh, who gets that one?
Joe beat me to it, I think.
Joe, okay, we'll take a second by
so.
Joe. Magistrate Graham?
We can finish our discussion now.
Now we can finish our discussion.
Now
Thank you, Greg.
Yeah.
Thank you, Magistrate.
But anyway, that has always been a challenge, and hopefully this might move a step forward into, correcting that. But it's always, because we have so many employees, we have them come on, we have them go off, and we have them change benefits, and we just have challenges. But that's been, and that just may be,
I do understand that. I've got, now I think I counted yesterday, 82 employees. And I've had over 100 at times, and it's difficult to keep up with that many because you have so much rotation of people coming in and going out, and doing it on a spiral notebook is impossible, much like probably, as Janet's saying now, as we do it now, is kind of impossible. As we continue to grow as a county and employees, we have to move from the spiral notebook into the.
And I talked about the spiral notebook because, and that's true.
It's the way we
Uh,
used to do. Everybody
But,
used to do it.
you know, I wanted to show the advancement we made from the spiral notebook to the Excel spreadsheets, which we've gone through several iterations of that over the years that I've been
And
here.
which now even doing an Excel
Which-
spreadsheet for.
Which this at one time was advanced for us, you know. When this was designed, it was pretty fancy.
I'm old enough to remember the spiral notebooks.
The reconciliation, like, real fast.
Can Alicia speak toward the reconciliation of the benefit insurances real quick?
I would tell you,
So
good time for it.
currently, the process, it goes through 4 different people. So the finance officer gets the bills and does the reconciliation, put the front page of the reconciliation. Then the assistant treasurer, she does the payroll, the reconciliation, the part that you take out the employee deductions, and I would match them up to the bill, and then I do a reconciliation and make sure that I agree that we pay all of these bills right. And then I gotta go to Janet and make sure that all of the employees are still here. So that is 4 people that is doing one job that can be done. There are 4 different people involved in one process. And that's a lot, that's a lot of time that you're spending on all of those people, so it may not be a cost savings after, like efficiently spending the money that you are already spending.
Too time consuming for too many people.
Right, for 4 different people, that's a lot of people that are doing the same process 4 different times.
And I want to add to that, because I never even thought about that process. And the only reason I was familiar with it is there was an instance several years ago where it was off by a little bit of money, and they had asked me to come in and help dig through it, and I literally spent a couple hours trying to find the discrepancy in the bill. And I mean, it is very time consuming, and that's what made me, when Janet said that, that's what jogged that memory of how time consuming that process really is.
You remember the reason that we started the new payroll account in January, because of the discrepancies in the payroll and the fringe accounts that had been going on for years and years and years. And then now, there's a situation that we're going to talk about for the life insurance, and that is still a problem. But now we're actually, we're reconciling them, we're finding the problems, but it's going through 4 different people to find those problems.
And I just want to add, going back to Travis's question, is that in time, some of these positions can be kind of condensed. If we did this the right way, some of the issues that Mary is now doing with the assistant treasurer, I can take those on. Or I can take on some of the issues that the financial officer is doing, so he can expand either an IT or whatever the needs are. Because like Alicia said, so many people are involved, and you pull that off, and then they do more things. That's where your savings come in. That's where your cost is gonna really reflect that, we are at a crossroads here of how many employees can we hire to do this type of process.
How long do you think this transition's gonna take, ballpark?
Like I said last time, I think in 6 months you're gonna see the benefits of doing it. I think in a year, you're gonna get to the place you say, I can't believe it took us so long. Because, and I think whoever the next person that comes down the road that does payroll, I won't always be here. No clapping. It'll be easier for the next person and the next person. So, no, are you gonna see it in the bottom line immediately? No. But this is a streamlined process that you don't have to have multiple people involved in. And when one person leaves, that system breaks down. That's why we're currently at the place that we're at, because we've had so many different people and nobody knowing what to do, and it's out of hand now. So this is a streamlined process that I think will take the county to the next level for a long period of time. Is it cheap? No. But what we're doing now is not either, so.
And Janet, with the new process and everything that's going to be put into place, is that going to get us on a traditional pay period to where the pay period doesn't end on a Tuesday and payroll's due on Wednesday, where you have time to process the payroll and there's not, what's the word I'm looking for? Not guessing, I don't want to say guessing, but estimating the person's hours, so that way that you have time to get payroll. Will that eliminate all of that?
Yes, and ideally, if we make this transition, I think that would be the time to do it. Go to a Monday through Sunday time, 2 weeks, and then do the processing by Wednesday to have the check by Friday. But that's gonna be, I think, if we integrate the ADP and the last check from the current pay provider to the new one, would be the time to do it so the employees don't go a long time without a check.
And that's something that we will come back to the fiscal court and ask you to set up that 7-day period, because that will be established as our agency. And Janet has talked about the Monday through Wednesday, and then the employees would know that we're gonna process on, we're gonna close out on Sunday, because, you know, we have some 24-hour departments, and then some overtime, so we'll close out on Sunday, process on Wednesday, they'll have the check by Friday. So it's gonna be, and Greg, you talked about this last time, at least a week delay in their last check, and when we do that. So I don't know how we prepare for that, but that's gonna have to be a conversation.
We'll have to address that for sure, so.
Yeah, so we're open for suggestions and ideas with regard to,
I've got some, but I just don't know the legality of it yet. Probably gonna require.
Yeah, we'll save those for
conversation
William.
with the county attorney.
We can make it work.
yeah, we'll,
We can make it work.
Where it doesn't hurt the employee. It's-
Right,
we can
correct.
make it
That-
work where it doesn't hurt
But
the
you
employee.
can't ask them to go without a paycheck for a week, so it's,
Yeah.
that can't be done. I don't support anything that would ask that, so.
and, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Robert.
That was one of my concerns, is that pay period that Janet brought up. And I do appreciate all the work she's put into this, and she's done a good job explaining everything and coming back with a recommendation. But aside from that pay period issue, the other two concerns I have is really the root of some of her problems is the turnover. And there's some way we need to be able to address why we have so much turnover. I don't know how we can solve that, but we need to address that. And then my other concern is, it's 2.5 times what we're paying now, and I can't really do a cost benefit to have. She's done a good job explaining how she feels about it, but that's quite a bit of unbudgeted funds, and I'm not sure that how we address that right now.
I think it's budgeted though, right?
It is
Not
budgeted.
in the budget?
It is budgeted.
Yes.
We budgeted 20,000, I think it's 20, what is the total?
It's a little bit, like I said, they have waived implementation fee, so you're looking just a little bit over.
Over the 20,000? Okay.
So we'll come in under for the first year.
Right.
And yeah, technically, it's not really over budget for this budget cycle, because we're gonna be starting halfway through the fiscal year. So
Right.
we're gonna only expend 10,000 roughly this fiscal year. Next year, the budget will be up.
Just have to increase the budget.
20,500, so it's completely within budget this fiscal year.
That is correct.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
No.
Okay. Motion carries. Okay, now we have Curtis with USI, a presentation for our next calendar year Employees Health and Benefits Insurance Program.
Thank you all for having me.
Thank you.
A little bit of fallout. All right, so got some good news today, which is good. I know over the last few years, it's been rather difficult as far as taking on increases every single year. So just to give you a little insight here, so if you'll flip to the agenda page, so we're going to go through a little bit of a 2022 recap where we've been over the last 10 months. We'll talk about the 2023 renewal and then our recommendation, next steps. Obviously, any questions you have, happy to field those. But as a recap, you all hired USI back in January, late January, at an unfavorable renewal. Some other things were happening. So we took on that challenge, and after we, obviously looked at all the data did the marketing, we made a move to UMR, United Healthcare, which I think the employees have really enjoyed. Haven't heard a lot of negative feedback at all. They like having a national carrier on their card and having access to care and feel like they can trust their health insurance. So I think that's very important. And then, it's a little bit different how we had it set up because we're used to going like a January 1, calendar year. We have United Healthcare, UMR, which is the administrator, because we're self-funded. They renew March 1. And then our stop loss coverage, which is the main insurance that we're looking at today, renews January 1. But we're going to get all that streamlined. We just got to get through the first year, if that makes sense. All right, so let's just jump ahead to the renewal. You all are self-funded. So self-funded, if you go to page 6, and I might not have the page numbers correct, because I had to pull from a couple things.
It's 6, yeah.
So anyways, y'all remember you're self-funded, which means you fund your claims. You're not fully insured. You don't pay a fixed premium for every single employee on the tiers, every month. You fund your claims on a weekly basis. You pay your fixed cost, which includes your administration costs and your stop loss costs on a monthly basis. So the only insurance that you're actually paying for is what we call stop loss, and that's protection, okay? And the way stop loss works is there's two forms. There's specific stop loss and there's aggregate stop loss. Specific stop loss covers each individual member up to $100,000. So that's what you all are on risk for, up to $100,000 for each individual member. And the aggregate covers the whole group as a whole. So, and that's usually 25% higher than your expected claims factor. So I know there's a lot of information there. So typically speaking, whenever you're self-funded, you don't jump from carrier to carrier every single year. Okay, you've got a TPA. You identify an efficient network that gives you the best discounts, which lowers your unit cost. You get a very efficient pharmacy benefit manager with an efficient contract that lowers your unit cost. And then from that point, the thing that you shop out the most every single year is going to be your stop loss coverage, which is the smaller portion of the premium that you're paying. So with that being said, do you have any questions over those pieces? Because that's a lot of information, but I just want to get you to understand the setup and how it works and how it's completely different from the fully insured side, which I know you know that, but just to give you a recap. You don't live and breathe it every day like I do. So I speak sometimes different languages, like you all speak different languages to me about what you do. So anyways, page 6 is the marketing review, which shows who we went to market with. So we have a stop loss consortium that USI has developed that essentially gives us best terms and best pricing, okay? So we went to that consortium, we shopped the stop loss. The initial renewal came out at 8% on the stop loss premium. Now if you flip to the next page, page 7. This is just the executive summary. It's the higher level. We got detail in the following pages, and we can go to that if necessary. But we actually ended up negotiating a flat renewal. So after years and years of increases that you all have had on your health insurance in general, by moving this self-funded, I know you went to IPMG with Ethos, and that kind of got a little rocky. We got you all set up with UMR, which is United Healthcare arm. And this year we're able to hold the rate on the administration cost, which renews 3/1, so it doesn't cost you anything. That's going to stay the exact same through 2023. The stop loss premium does not increase. We negotiated a rate hold on that. So that $297,190, that's based off your current membership, by the way. So, that's a moving target. It's per employee per month fees, right? But either way, as it stands with the membership, the snapshot of membership that we have right now to present, that would be the estimated cost. Your total annual fixed cost does not change. So it's still sitting at the $416,000. Now remember, that's what you pay on a monthly basis based on your membership. And then you've got your claims factors. So this is where the stop loss carrier says, this is where we expect you to be. And then here's the maximum worst case scenario, okay, your maximum claims liability. So that's where those two numbers come into effect. There's a decrease in expected claims costs of $1,800, which is not much, of course. But on the maximum claims cost, as far as what your total cost would be, worst case scenario, it's a decrease of $302,000 on your budget. Now remember, you're self-funded, you fund your claims. If your plan performs well, then that $1,800, that's if you just hit the expected claims marker. If you fall 20% below that, you keep that 20%. Does that make sense? Okay, so annual total expected cost is down, or is held flat, or just slightly under. It's 0.01. That's why you see 0 there. And then total annual maximum cost, including your fixed cost, is down 17% from this plan year. So that's good news, right?
Yes.
All right. I don't see any smiles. Smile a little bit.
I do have one quick question. I know with our previous one, if I remember correctly, we had a laser. There is no laser on this one, correct?
If you go to the next page, I'm actually going to touch on that because there's two things I want to hit on.
Appreciate it.
Three things. So yes, we had to take on that $400,000 laser liability. So if you recall what a laser is, it's basically shining a laser on somebody and saying, instead of a $100,000 specific deductible on your claims, we know and anticipate you to have high claims this year, we're going to put a $400,000 laser on you. So the court is responsible for, or the county is responsible for, up to $400,000 on that one individual. That laser has since been removed. We no longer have that laser liability. In addition to that, USI, the way we do things on the stop loss with our consortium, we negotiated a no new laser contract, which means at renewal, even if you do have a high cost claimant that is, experiencing some pretty significant cost over health as far as the care is concerned, that HCC, who's the stop loss carrier, cannot name them as a laser, okay? But they can increase your premium if you're paying for stop loss. So remember that $297, that's the premium for stop loss, $297,000. They can increase your stop loss, but they have a rate cap. So we added a rate cap on there. I think I've got that included here. Rate cap at 50%. So they can't go any higher than a 50% rate cap. So here's the important thing. The important thing is we can either take the laser or not take the laser if it does happen. And the reason why that's important, we have that option, is because, and put the financial hat on, not the human hat on, but if we know that laser is not going to be ongoing, and we know that risk, they say it's a $400,000 laser, but we know it's not going to be very much, then we can go ahead and say, you know what, we're going to go ahead and take the laser instead of the renewal increase, so you're paying less premium. So that stuff that has to be evaluated over time. But for now, there's a no new laser provision with a rate cap on there, so we don't have to worry about that happening. As long as that provision's on there, we're in pretty good shape. And that provision is actually more important now than ever. There are 4 gene therapy medications. I don't know if you're familiar with gene therapy, but 4 that were approved by the FDA that cost anywhere between $300,000 and $3 million. They're a cure. They're a cure for things. There's actually a cure for blindness, a rare condition of blindness. It's $425,000 per eye. But there's expected to have a lot more of these medications hit the market in the next 4 years, 3 to 4 years. But they're very, very costly. So like, for instance, another one is the hemophiliac. That right there costs about $1 million to treat over the course of a year with medication. The gene therapy that was developed to cure hemophiliac is actually about $3 million. So no new laser provision is going to help us with that. But the good thing is those things are cures and they're one and done. So you pay that one time and it's done. So having the appropriate amount of stop loss in place is very important right now in the right provisions, and I feel like we accomplished that. The second thing I'll draw your eye to is the red box. So this is very, very, very important. You didn't hear anything else I said today besides no increase. Hear this. So stop loss. The way stop loss works is they base their premium and their expected claims and maximum claims off of your actual plan performance, okay? So they're looking at your claims in real time. Right now, the quote that we received from HCC, which gives us a flat renewal and a reduction in our claims factors, in our budget, essentially, is firm, which means they can't make any changes to that premium or to those claims factors, or they can't add a laser, okay? That's firm through 10/21, so that's next Friday. Basically, if we were to go past that date, then they will have to look at claims through September at that point. If some new thing pops up, that's going to impact the premium, that's going to impact the expected claims factors, the maximum claims factors, the whole entire proposal. So the proposal that's on the table right now is firm and good. If we go past 21, it's off the table, and they have to look at claims again through September.
So you need a decision today.
I need the signatures on paper by the 21st. So I'm trying to give y'all, this stuff happens fast, by the way. So this is a lot different from fully insured. Fully insured, you get a proposal, you've got all the way up until December 31st if you want to. Of course, that would not be a good idea. With stop loss, they look at, you've got about 2 weeks typically when that firm proposal comes in to get things done. Because they go based off of monthly claims run. So if claims are reported and ready to go, they're gonna wanna look at those claims to ensure that they're covering their risk. So it's a lot different than what you're used to.
What's your recommendation?
My recommendation is renew. So the market was competitive in the sense of premium, but not competitive in the sense of claims factors. You know, they're looking at increasing the claims factors, which puts you on more risk, 20%, 25%, 38% on one. HCC knows that this is good risk. They want to retain you. And essentially, they're offering a flat renewal with a decrease in your claims factors. My recommendation is to go ahead and renew with HCC. We're good on UMR. There's no increase next year for the 2023 year, because usually it's a gradual 3% renewal increase in your administration costs on an annual basis, and they set it up on 3-year terms. We don't have an increase next year. We can put that on a calendar year whenever we get to that point of renewal, and that's besides the point. So otherwise, really the big decision is just HCC. My recommendation is to go ahead and move forward, get the signature done, signed, and we can move forward with open enrollment.
I think that may be where we got in somewhat of a bind the last time, was we agreed to something. It may have not gotten signed in time, and then we later had a laser applied, and then we learned of that in January, long after that we were already bound for it, I guess you would say.
You're exactly right. So the stop loss expired, it wasn't signed, they reviewed the claims, they found a high cost claimant, they assigned a laser, but the way it was handled after that, it wasn't really communicated.
Yeah, I will make clear, I don't think it was anything that was on our end that we.
No, I don't either yet. Absolutely don't think that.
Well, I'll make a motion, we accept USI's recommendation to renew and authorize the judge executive to sign all associated documentation.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Magistrate Davis,
I'll second that.
second by Magistrate Elkins. Any discussion?
You know, before we go any further, I know I've talked to Curtis a bit about, a written agreement, I guess, with their company, and I think there probably is some interest in coming back to the court, maybe the next meeting or two with an agreement. I think you're gonna get one of the county attorney where we would, agree to employ you for some time to come as well. Is that correct?
That's correct. So being self-funded, that was the main premise behind
Yep.
it. It's a long-term strategy. It's not something that you change very often. You don't flip back and forth from insured to self-funded, because you gotta think about run-out claims that are processed after you move. So to kind of protect the integrity of the program and the long-term strategic plan of the program, to keep it going in the right direction, it's hard for someone to just step in and take over. They have to learn a lot about how the things that we have going on. So the proposal was to set some sort of agreement where, we can partner with you all long-term.
Yeah, I think
We'll
some
come back
sort
and do
of
that.
continuity is important here. I think we should work to get that done pretty quickly.
Okay. And if you'll get us a copy of the agreement to my office, we'll get it to the county attorney and reviewed and get it before the court members.
Okay, absolutely. So that's pretty much it for me. Oh, yeah, the last thing is, plan design changes for the employee. I think that's very important to mention. So we're not making any plan design changes at this point in time, unless you all want to make enhancements to that. For them, we can actually.
We're gonna have the same offerings that we did last year.
You're exactly
Okay.
right.
And just from what I've heard, I haven't heard as many, actually I haven't heard any complaints compared to the other insurance that we had previously.
Yeah.
It seems like everything's running a lot smoother with the providers and everything. Janet, do you agree with that?
Oh, 100%. I've had several people stop me just recently and say, it's night and day. And, and it's a lot more work having it come in-house, but it's been much better because I can resolve issues very quickly. And then if I can't, I escalate that to Kathy or Curtis, and they can, and I have a good support team with UMR and USI. So we've been able to resolve some issues, as you know.
I resolved a big one for me.
Yeah.
A big one.
And that's the thing. We've been presented with some challenges, but being able to work with Kathy and Curtis, I know it's been a great pleasure, because you all help us just through the small things. You kind of help us mediate them and.
Like Daniel, I couldn't walk down the street a couple of years ago without somebody stopping me and saying, we gotta do something. And I haven't had that in a while.
Yeah,
Well,
everybody
and
complained.
to come in during in the situation that we were in last minute and be able to deliver on what you all delivered on and get everybody implemented was very impressive.
Yep.
And, you know, the fact here at our first renewal, we're already potentially looking at a significant decrease, is moving in the right direction. I do have one question in regards to that. Alicia, put you on the spot, you may know this off your top of your head, or you may have to research it, but how much are we contributing to the insurance fund per employee for expected claims?
Well, I don't know that cost, because it's a little bit, like different for, but I like the stuff, I love funded, I love portion of that, because, we set on the 1.5 for the budget, and I know that we are only like like $300,000 for that money, so that's all that I know. I don't know the per employee cost.
Okay, so.
It's just, we pay the claims and we pay, the monthly bill, but, and maybe Curtis, I would know a little bit more about the expected per employee cost.
Maybe I misunderstood the process, and it was different from the previous
Yes,
company.
yes.
So I may have
We
these
have changed it.
confused, but, you know, my understanding is that I'm just gonna use numbers, these are completely inaccurate, but $500 per employee was going into an insurance fund to pay our claims out. So that fund would build up on a monthly basis, $500 per the 100 employees that we have, and at the end of the year, if we had $500,000 in there and we only paid $300,000 out of the money that was there, we would have a $200,000 surplus.
Right, but if you remember in the conversation that I came to the court and that I wanted to move the money per quarter for the employees, then you all decided to not do that. And so I leave it in the general fund now, and I pay per claim week. Then I pay the monthly claims, and so we don't actually see a per employee cost. There is just, but the weekly claims and then the monthly claims. And then I move them over to that account, but they are paid exactly, but the way that they're billed now, but we don't do the per employee cost.
So we're not building up a surplus, we're just keeping
We're
a
building it
surplus
in
in
the
the
general
general
fund,
fund.
yes.
Gotcha, okay.
And
Yes.
to expand on that, so what we do is we develop what we call FIEs, or cover rates, so fully insured equivalent rates. So essentially, we take your max claims and think about how you want to fund it. We always recommend the first couple of years you do it to the max, to fund the max, so that way you can build up a reserve, because you're going to have bad years. 1 to 2 bad years out of every 5 years. And that's the actuarial standpoint of that. So anyways, the first couple of years you're funding the max, we develop the fully insured equivalent rates. That's what you budget to based off your membership population. And to your point, yeah, if you budget for $1.5 million and you come in at 1.2, then you're going to have that sitting there, as a reserve to carry over. That's the best part about self-funding.
Yeah.
You get to keep your money.
The only thing I think we need to think about is that, yeah, it's that the cash is staying in the general fund, but maybe at the end of the year, maybe moving it to a different sub-account to 95 for that actual cash is there for when we hit those bad years where we may go over budget. Just an idea, but that's my only
I
thought.
would recommend consulting with our risk attorney to figure out exactly how you should invest it.
Thank you all.
All right.
Okay, I think we've got our motion and a second on the floor. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Curtis, if you would get Janet those documents, we'll sign them as expeditiously as possible.
All right.
And get them back to you.
I'll email it right now.
Thank you. Okay, item 14 is consider first reading of an ordinance regarding healthcare revenue bonds for our Kentucky Easter Seal Program, or Society Incorporated.
So moved.
Okay, We'll take a motion by Magistrate Davis,
Second.
second by Magistrate Elkins. Jana Circle is here. Jana, do you want to say anything? Do you all have any questions? And there's one thing that Janet in my office understands. The county attorney's been doing, William Elkins has been doing the point for us. He's going to ask for some changes with regard to the ordinance, but he has no problem those changes coming in during the second reading.
Yeah.
So he's okay with the first reading today.
And we will certainly make changes to that.
Right. They were just very minor, some kind of minor changes. So
And just to clarify, this won't affect any of our bonding or anything? that
this
we
does not
potentially-
affect our bonding, right? So we've got a motion and a second. Any other questions? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We will get that on our next meeting for second reading. Okay. Now we're at item 15, which is consider a bid for the Clark County Detention Center HVAC. And as Travis and Greg alluded to, Jailer Doyle's here. I think we want to have a discussion at this time. You all have had some conversations in the committee this morning.
We did. I think there were 3 bids received. I haven't looked at them yet.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I've looked at them, but not in detail. I think you guys have
Right, I've
studied
got the
them.
detail right
yep.
here. We've
I-
looked at
I knew
them,
you
but
had studied
They're,
them as long as.
they're
they
somewhat
were-
confusing, I'll be honest
Yeah,
with you.
yeah, that's why I think it's important to have the jailer come and speak to it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Jailer Doyle.
Good morning. Thank you all. Of course, we know we've been fighting this beast for quite some time now, and I want to thank you all. I know in the last court meeting that you all said to go ahead and get the bond process started, so I commend you for doing that, and I thank you. Because it's getting, as we keep saying, very important. The thing keeps, it's kind of got enough Band-Aids on right now, we don't know at what point it's going to come apart, so, that's the reason why I say thank you more than once. The bids, of course, you all looked at them yesterday. I know we have a difference in price on them. I'm not going to try and explain the difference, and I'm going to ask Mr. Ison is here with us this morning from Fayette Heating and Air. I'm going to let him try and explain to you a little bit what the difference is maybe in some of the bids. I know if the air conditioning's working, it's cool. If it's not working, it's not cool. So I'm going to stay in my lane and let him explain that to you. Mr. Ison, if you don't mind, could I get you to come to the podium, please?
Yes, sir.
One question.
Yes, sir.
Is it appropriate for a person involved in the bid to talk about the differences between the others without the others having the opportunity to speak?
That would be a call of this fiscal court. If you
I
if
don't
you all
know
would
anything about
rather
this.
defer until we can have all 3 here, I think what we're going to talk about is things that are not present in the other 2 bids that are present in one bid.
Right, that's all I want to do. I just want to.
But we
educate
certainly
the
don't want to
court.
taint the
It's-
I
process.
just want to make sure we're
Yeah,
not.
no.
I can't
and-
answer that legally, but, the court has a majority rule if
Yeah.
if you all decide.
And I apologize if I projected that wrong. It's not a sales pitch. It's simply informing you all. And the only reason I say that, when it comes to the jail, I know exactly what needs to take place there. I can run the jail.
And let me tell.
I have the education and experience with it, but in his field with the air conditioning, I wanted him to use his education and experience to help explain the difference. That's all I was trying to
And let me
accomplish.
explain just a little bit. The way we bid this as a design build. In other words, instead of having a design by an architectural firm or an engineering firm, we've had the respondents do their own design and bid it. And my understanding is, in 2 of the bids, and I don't understand the mechanics of it, but I've tried to look through it, and it's very complicated. So I'm glad that the jail committee looked through them. There are 2 major pump systems over there, and one of them is not even working at this time.
No, sir.
One of them's on its last leg.
Yes, sir.
And I think as part of the other 2 bids, they do not even have in those bids to replace those pumps. That's one of the things that we found over in my office.
Right.
Now, I don't know what else you all have found, but.
After reviewing them this morning, Magistrate Elkins and I, we quickly came to the conclusion that there's 2 incomplete bids here. Because if you were to go with the 2 bids that are significantly lower, you're still going to have to spend the extra money after those bids to do what Fayette Heating and Air is. I'm like Frank, I can't explain it as well as they're probably going to be able to, but it was pretty obvious that there was much more to this bid. It was much more complete.
And the two pumps is just a part of it.
That's
Yeah,
correct.
If I could add to that just a little bit, Fayette Heating and Air probably has, I don't know, I guess you hate to say it, may have a bit of an advantage because they've serviced our unit for some time now, so they know it inside and out. What they did in their bid was a couple of the bids tried to retrofit some parts of it that's already there, tried to make ours match up with theirs. Fayette Heating and Air's bid is gonna be about 10% higher than the other two bids, or maybe even 12% higher than the other two bids. But there's no retrofitting really. It's they understand it. They're going to replace pretty much the entire system, top to bottom, inside and out. So I think you can look at one or two bids maybe that matches some old to some new, and then another one, and you're going to have to replace the old eventually, very soon anyway. What I find in like heavy equipment, and most of you will understand this, if you put a new engine on an old transmission, in just a short time you're replacing the transmission too. So kind of that same deal.
Does that help kind of ease some of the reluctance?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
I just want to make sure we didn't miss anything
Right,
up. That's all it was.
That's why I wanted Travis and I to go ahead and input now, because maybe we don't even need to hear from them if we're, maybe we do. I think that's up to the magistrates to decide, but I think that's what you're gonna hear. Just, you're gonna hear more specifics than I know to give.
That would, I guess that would explain or partially explain why there's a $400,000 difference between the lowest bid and the highest bid.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, you get into six figures, those are real numbers, you know.
Yeah.
It's that old saying of Senator made a billion here and a billion there, and before you know it, you're talking about real money. You know, 100,000 here and 100,000 there, you're talking about real money.
Right.
So,
Is the committee ready to make a recommendation, or do we need to get further input?
The committee's
Travis,
definitely
Greg?
ready to make a recommendation, but I'd let the jailer proceed with his explanation, because you're going to want it either way, so.
I mean, it's up to you guys. If you want Mr. Ison to speak and kind of educate you on it, that's fine. If you don't, my recommendation is,
Let's just do it this way. Let me make a motion to accept the Fayette Heating and Air bid, and if we get a second, then we'll go into discussion and do it that way.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Magistrate Thompson to accept the Fayette Heating and Air bid at $1,599,990.
I'll second the motion, especially for discussion. I think that'll also allow Fayette Heating and Air probably to come and explain their bid.
Okay, and that's a second by Magistrate Elkins. So we have it on the floor, we have it in the discussion mode, and I'm going to go ahead for the sake of public information and the court's information, which you all have this. I'm going to read the other two bids. Comfort and Process Solutions is $1,251,655. Ivy Mechanical Company submitted a bid of $1,199,245. So now we're in the discussion phase.
I got
Oh,
one
yes.
question. I support the recommendation of the jail committee, Jailer Doyle. I mean, they've dug into this issue, and I think they justify it. From the standpoint, do we need to indicate into that motion justification on why we're taking the higher amount?
We will, or we need, at some point in time, we need to enter in that the fiscal court, upon recommendation of the committee, deems this as the best value, because that's what the statute requires us to do, the best value, because the other two bids are incomplete. And that should be stated just as simple as that.
And I'm happy to state that.
You state that in your motion and in your
I'm
second?
happy
Okay.
to include that in my second.
And
I don't like to.
and they're just trying to cover all bases.
And I appreciate that, and that's all I'm trying to do is just make everybody aware, and I hate to, for lack of better words, pull a scab off a wound. But, you know, if we go back, I'm building my maintenance resume. Since we've been the jailer since 2015, we put a new roof on the building, so we went through that process. The boilers blew up, and we went through that process. And if we think about the boiler process we went with the cheapest bid on the boilers before, and then by the time that this was discovered, that was discovered, there was the unknowns, this showed up, we wound up actually paying more to replace the boilers than we probably should have at the time, and that's all we're trying to do. We're just trying to make sure that we're dealing with apples and apples here, not apples and oranges. And I can't thank you all enough for your kindness of just hearing us out and listening to it, because it's been educational for me as well. So at this point, do you want to
Hear
hear
from Ms. Ryson.
Ms. Ryson, or do
I think
you-
we do now, don't we?
I don't think it hurts. One other thing that I would say or state is that the jailer reminded us this morning that Fayette Heating and Air is very responsive when he calls, and so I think he's chosen them to be their service provider before and after this new unit goes in. So
Yes. We got to the point it was failing. I know that doesn't sound too bad, but if it just fails just on the state inmate part, that's $1.2 million we're looking at, guys, not counting the out of county. So, I try and keep that at the top of the list here, what's happening, what's occurring, and why we're making decisions and why we're moving in the direction we're doing. And my main thing is just, making sure that the jail committee's aware of everything that's occurring, the step-by-step process. There's a lot of times that we may have just a small dealing with it, but we try and make sure that we contact Master Thompson, Master Elkins. Just keep them posted. Hey, we've made another step. This is the direction we went. So it's worked out great.
I think it'd be a good time to hear from Fayette Heating and Air if you don't
Okay.
mind, Judge, but I'd ask that he sticks to his bid only and
Yes,
no
please.
one else's.
Thank y'all for having me. I'm Will Ison, Fayette Heating and Air. So our bid, we looked at just equipment only, and we looked at all the problems in the jail that it is having currently right now. There's no communication between the top units and the boiler units downstairs. The pumps are failing. We didn't want to do an equipment only for you guys because it would take a year to get the equipment. In that meantime, things are gonna fail, and we wanted to be all inclusive so that you got everything up and running and communicating, working together, as opposed to doing a little piece of it and then a year later having to do another $1 million project. What sort of questions y'all have? So you want to know the order of procedure that we're planning on doing the job, how it'll benefit the jail, how we keep downtime down.
So this is just gonna take care of everything.
So the heating system is, you just replace the boilers. This is gonna be replacing the rooftop units, the controls, the pumps. The only thing that is included is the heating system that you already have in place in there, in the ductwork inside the building. So everything's in the basement, everything on the roof. The controls with it, we're gonna provide temporary cooling because you guys, if we take one unit down, to replace it, it's gonna take a month to get that unit back up and running. Well, what do you do with half the jail inmates? So we're gonna provide temporary cooling to make sure that you don't have to close that jail down and pay to send inmates out other places. That was something very important, Frank, that, you don't have to lose revenue while we're doing this.
Start to finish, the install, construction to install, just a ballpark. How long are we talking about?
We're a year to get the equipment right now. So you give me the okay, we're gonna go ahead and order the equipment tomorrow morning. I expect to receive it from Train in 52 weeks. Once we start that construction, we'll block the street off here, bring a crane in, set that. 3 weeks later, we'll come back and do the second unit. So I'm expecting
Sure.
2 months of construction while that, but now, my first procedure to do with you guys, because those pumps are failing, once this bid is accepted, is we want to go ahead and put the new pumps in. We want to put some strainers in. You guys have never had water treatment over there. Y'all get water treatment over here from Bluegrass Keysco. Those pipes are corroded, so what we're going to do is get those pumps in, get some new strainers in there so that when we put new systems in there and then pumps start pumping the actual gallons per minute pressure they're supposed to, we don't have this stuff breaking loose and going in and destroying the new system in the first year, because would be, maintenance issues that are missing. So we want to get it treated, start that. You guys will, I've talked to Bluegrass Keysco, they do your water treatment here and at other buildings. They said they'll go ahead and add the jail in with it. It's, I think, $100 a month, $300 every quarter. They said they've billed for that. We'll install the filtration system. They'll take care of the changing the filter and that, so that the biggest concern I've got right now is tomorrow morning your pump will fail and you're gonna lose the jail, and that pump is 3 months to get in here, so you're 3 months of everybody over there gone.
You mentioned and I'll just add in, you mentioned the lines having
Corrosion,
build up.
So yeah.
Is there a way to clean those?
So what we're gonna do, and I talked to Bluegrass Keysco, met with them, we're gonna put some filtration systems in there and start doing some chemicals that'll break that
That'll
loose
break it and clean it.
And start cleaning it out, so that by the time the new systems arrive, everything's in as good of shape as it can be.
Is there a possibility, I know you said a year, and I know with supply chain issues, that's a struggle for everybody, is there a possibility, though, that you could get it in less than 52 weeks? I know you don't control that, I'm just asking.
I have no control over it. I mean, there's a possibility.
I
There's
know.
also a possibility it'll be 60 weeks.
Right.
You know,
Sure,
I mean,
sure.
I'm going to lean on train heavy and say, hey, this needs to be done.
Expedite it.
But, trains evolve the company.
I understand.
I will
understand.
put
Thank
as much pressure on them as I can.
Is there, I know there is, a means of pressure testing the piping system that we would leave in place, clean, make sure that it will withstand the new pressures?
Yeah, so we'll have pressure and temperature checks on it, on the new system, all that's going in there, the filtration system, and keep it constantly monitored with Bluegrass Keysco, so that you.
And all that is included in this,
All that's
in
included.
this
The
bid?
Bluegrass Keysco's monitoring afterwards is the additional
Right,
part,
yep.
but
That's the $100 a month or
yeah,
whatever.
$100 a month.
But everything else we've talked about is included in this bid.
Everything else is included. We went over it. I had 2 engineers talking to me about it, and multiple guys in the building for weeks with me and going through every piece of it that we thought could possibly be wrong, because I didn't want to give you a bid for equipment only. You could have a problem with the other stuff that we could clearly see was a problem, and then come back to you and put it as an exclusion, and then come back to you and hit you for $800,000 for a set of pumps.
Yeah.
I want to be fair.
Henry, how quickly would we be able to, I know we talked about this a couple months ago, how quickly could we move on the bonding issue with KCO?
We'll go ahead and contact KCO and see what this is going to be significantly more than we've done, so we'll go ahead and start the process and see what we need to do there. They may want to look at outsourcing bonding like I think this court did a year or so ago.
We have done that with R.J. Palmer's
Yeah,
group.
I think-
don't remember what
right.
the name of the group was.
Right.
How soon are you talking about getting the pumps in there?
I'm expecting a couple months to get the pumps in there, and before we'll have them in and all everything in to be able to do it.
Can we, on the bonding, will we be able to get the funding? How quickly can we get the funding on it? Because the reason I'm saying that is if we're gonna have 2, 3, I don't know how much the pumps are in this bid.
And I don't have it broken down in front of me.
Yeah, I guess
A couple $100,000 probably.
200 or 300 grand.
Yeah.
And
You know,
maybe
take
able
that
to get
cash out, I just don't think we
like a
have
partial advancement before we,
that.
okay.
Yeah.
We can do that. I'm pretty sure we can do that, and that's one thing that I will talk with KCO, and we'll probably have some answers by the next court meeting.
Or even if we have to do just a short-term
We can do it,
lease
yeah.
for that, just because cash, I mean, that comes out
Yeah,
of it.
something that'll bridge you to get to
Bridge
the.
it
yep.
until we get it done, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, I think we've asked a lot of the questions. We said once the equipment's in, we're gonna be looking at 2 months installation time for both units.
2 months
Okay.
installation time. Yeah, that's the big projected time. I don't think, it'll take 2, 3 weeks to get it up running each section.
Okay. All right, any other questions for Mr. Ison? Okay, well, thank you so much for
Thank you all
sharing.
for your time.
Jailer? Looks like you and I got our work cut out for us as soon as we vote on this.
It's,
You like to recommend lowest and best, but I think this time we're recommending the best. I think
As the
Travis
best
would
value,
agree with
yeah.
that, or
Well, sounds like it's
Magistrate
the most
Thompson would.
complete.
I do have one
Really
other
the
question
only
for Mr.
conclusion.
Rice. I'm assuming that there will be a contract you'll want to put in place. When you get that contract, if you could get it to me as soon as possible or to Jailer Dole, I need to let the county attorney review it, and this court will have to approve that. We've already approved the project, or we haven't yet, but we're gonna vote on the project. But we do need to approve the contract, so I'd like to get that done and settled in as soon as possible. So our next meeting's the 27th.
I got just a concern. and
Yes, sir.
Maybe just being overly cautious, and I'm sure Mr. Ison and Fed Heating is highly qualified, it seems like. But spending $1,600,000, it's just, it would ease my mind some if we had an independent individual qualified to review that, just to make sure that what we're getting is what we need. I don't doubt that they've given us a quality bid, but, we wouldn't spend $1.5 million on the tower without an architect, and just, it would ease my mind to know that not that I don't disbelieve what he's saying, but just kind of as a second check to make sure that what we get will work and what we need it to do. I know that probably won't go anywhere because it'll cost us some more money, and I don't know what it would cost, have no idea. And I don't know how you would even get a mechanical engineer just to review a bid without something he designed. So just being overly cautious, I guess, but it's a bit concerning to me.
And I appreciate that. Something else to keep in mind too, Mr. Ice can probably correct me on this if I'm wrong, but they do have engineers that have looked at that with them. So, that was comforting to me that they know that business better than their company does themselves. So that helped, I feel, in the process of it as well. Judge, I have one more thing, if I may, while
Yes,
I'm
sir.
up here, and then I'll
We need to
go
vote. We need to
away.
vote.
We need
Oh,
to
I'm
vote
sorry,
on
I'm
this.
sorry.
I'm sorry.
Any other questions with regard to our motion and second? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now, Jailer, the floor is yours.
Okay. Just wanted to come to you this morning. I know we're talking about a lot of money here in the air conditioning, and don't forget about the walk-in cooler. We're probably looking 15-ish or so on it, because it's about as same shape the air conditioner is, 30-some years old, and it's failing as well. But I'm pleased to inform the court this morning, we received a intergovernmental agreement with U.S. Marshal Service yesterday. It arrived yesterday. It's waiting my signature. As soon as I sign and return this agreement, we'll be able to accept the federal inmates in our facility. As required by law, the county attorney is required to review the documents before I can sign them. I have a copy to present to him. I've reached out for him this morning. He's out of town for training. So I've emailed it to him for him to look at. As soon as he gets that to me, I will get that signed off. I looked at this is a great day for our taxpayers. The federal inmates are going to bring a significantly higher per diem rate than the state inmates pay. And we, the taxpayers, including myself, will not be responsible for their medical cost. So that's another thing that's going to be helpful when we get into these expenses that we're seeing with the county's building. Another way to bring back the revenue, but we have the contract here. I've emailed a copy to the county attorney this morning. Hopefully he'll be able to sit and look at it. So I'm excited about that. I'm glad this day's get here. It seems like it's been a long time coming. But I'm going to tell you this. I got to say thank you to you all, the Fiscal Court, for being patient with me. I know it. Sometime y'all thinking, I hear Frank talk about riding a horse, but I've never seen the horse, But the horse finally showed up. I got to thank my staff. Man, I've had a lot of staff that's worked hard on this and stayed in there with me, and we've communicated. We've talked to people from, it seems like, from Florida to Washington, D.C. and back. So we just kept plugging away, and they kept dotting the I's and crossing the T's, and that day's come to Clark County. And so I'm happy for Clark County to see it finally arrive. And like I say, as soon as I get my signature on this, and County Attorney Elkins gets its approval on it. I'm gonna sign it, send it back, and they're, waiting to bring us a load today. You know, we're
So
probably.
as soon as you sign the contract, they're ready to start
They're ready-
transferring
They're ready to bring 'em.
inmates?
They're ready to bring them. You know, they're probably looking, they're talking somewhere around 40 male inmates, 20 female.
60?
Yep.
Wow.
So they're already up from what they originally started out for us. So, you know, hopefully, I'm just glad to see this day here. I hope you all are too. And I won't waste any more of your time, and I appreciate your all's kindness.
Yeah, I just want to say congratulations to you. I know that you and your staff have been working very diligently on this. I commend the two magistrates that serve on your committee. They've stood in here as legislative members of this body and stood firm and you know, positive. So I'm glad it's coming to fruition. So
You know, and through the process, we try to keep Magistrate Elkins, Magistrate Thompson informed. And I know they probably think, man, it's a slow process, like pulling teeth, you know, but it's all worked out. They've been great with us, man. They've been 100% supportive of us, and you know, and believe me, they hit us with some questions every now and then. I'm thinking, well, you know, it's a good question, you know, but it's called dotting I's, crossing T's, and making sure things happen. But that's what good people do.
well, you all done a great job. So
Yeah. Thank you all. Thank you
all
both.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
I think it doesn't go through court. Okay, I was saying, because it's gonna take a moment to the next court meeting. I'm just making sure.
Yeah, he's good.
Okay.
All righty. So, okay, we've got item 15. 16 is consider a bid for the home incarceration vehicle. And we bid that out. We had responses. We already had one response.
I'll make a motion to accept that bid, Judge.
Okay, and that bid is, we have a motion by Magistrate Thompson, and we'll take a second. Does anybody?
I'll give a second.
Second by Magistrate Graham, and that, the response we had was from Bachman Auto Group, Louisville, Kentucky, for $44,442.92. Now we're open for discussion.
Any chance we can roll this into that bond issuance?
We possibly could. I mean, I can have that conversation. We certainly rolled the annex repair in with the parks projects.
I think you're going to be for sure looking at rolling a walk-in cooler into that bond at some point.
And we
Very
haven't
soon.
received any responses on that yet, have we?
No, we have, but we're not ready to discuss it yet.
Okay. So,
But it's going to be another,
and what we can do, Magistrate Davis, we'll give Keiko and whoever else an approximate amount, and we'll probably go high on that amount.
I just don't know with our budget situation being what it is, and you know, if we want to.
Cash is, you look at it, I mean, our cash, I know we're getting very good tax revenue that's coming in November and December, and I know a lot of these cashes, we try to wait until at least January or February when that cash has come in from the tax revenue. And then, you know, hopefully, I know we've had some additional expenses with jail, but our cash into the jail is, I think we've already done about 60% of our.
more than that
More
after this morning.
After today, so I mean, we're about 67% of the expenditure on that cash. You know, so we're, hopefully, the good news today with the federal inmates is gonna help relieve some of that moving forward. But,
If this bid's good for 90 days, and I don't know, but if it is, maybe we wait for 60 or 90 days before we actually make the purchase. Not saying we couldn't approve it today or vote on it today. I hate that, sorry about using that word, but we couldn't vote on it today. But I don't know how long the bid's good for, but I get the cash
Tony.
concern.
I spoke to him and they don't expect the vehicle to come in until November, until December, so we're probably good on.
I didn't even know you were back there, Tony.
So you're thinking that'll get us past the time that we make our collections for property
I
tax
think
receipts?
that's what Magistrate Constantopoulos was
Okay.
concerned with, so.
All right. And then we'll determine if we need to add that in.
I'm not for taking it out of our cash reserves right now. I mean, we're getting tight, and like you said, with transfers we've had to make into the jail, it's just, I'd rather put it off, or when we know if we can roll it into that bond issue.
Okay. We can certainly, we will do that. Okay.
Typical October concerns.
Yep. I can remember when they were worse, but how much money are we gonna borrow to get us through the year?
We don't want to get there, but I've seen other counties borrow from the road funds to pay bills in October, November.
Well, I can remember when Judge Myers was here, Nice County Treasurer, this was very much on our minds right now. And we borrowed $800,000 and was able to pay it back in the same fiscal year. But we had to do a lot of cutting. Okay, I think we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion with regard to the vehicle? Okay.
Are we specifying how we're paying for it in this, or is it just?
Just
What?
accepting the bid.
I'm sorry?
Just accepting the bid,
We'll
correct?
accept the bid, and I'm going to find out if we can roll it into the bond, which I'm certain we can. And so that'll be our first option, I think. Whatever we bid on, whatever we bond for the HVAC repair, we'll just add this 44,000 into it.
Yeah, I'm so long as we're doing that, I'm okay.
And I'll have to bring those documents back for you all to approve anyway. So that's going to be my
Okay.
goal is to add that amount into it.
And again, we wouldn't take delivery of it, according to Mr. Kirk, until probably December, so you wouldn't have to pay anything until December anyway. So.
Right. Okay, any other questions? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All righty, we have considered the Clark County Fire Department vehicle replacement schedule. Chief, I'm sorry.
I thought you wanted motion to approve it, sorry.
I do.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Magistrate Constantopoulos,
Second.
second by Magistrate Thompson. Any questions, Chief? There. Do you have anything you want to add? I mean, we've already seen it, and I think we questioned you.
We did, sir. We, same proposals. Last time it was just, Magistrate Bladden asked that we, specify who was gonna do the grading of these vehicles, and I've done so in the document. It'll be an ASC certified mechanic that also has an emergency vehicle technician certification with that. And we also have one that we currently received, we took the lowest bidder, and we have that mechanic already for a year, so. We do that annually as well. See who's gonna do our maintenance work on our engines.
Do y'all have any questions for Chief at all? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have an order to change the status of Chad Neal to full-time firefighter and a rate of pay change.
Motion approved.
Take a motion by Magistrate Constantopoulos and a second by Magistrate Blanton. Okay. I didn't know. Wait just 1 minute. We've got a question on the, okay, it was supposed to be 903 and it's going to be 1198. I think they just repeated it.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he normally puts the previous. So we've got 1198 there twice, but that's the new rate of pay. Okay.
Yeah, it just doesn't include his old rate of pay.
Right.
If we might, can I get the chief to explain, or to tell us where we're at on staffing? I know I'm on the fire committee, but we haven't met for some time, so.
Sure, absolutely. So this one change is gonna put us at full staffing at 9 members per shift. So we're in the budget accounts for that, it's reflected in the budget, we have the money to pay for that 9 full-time person on each shift. We just had one person, retire medically, so that's why we need this one to give us 9 across the board. Hopefully next year we'll be able to budget to get us to the 10 that I had asked for, or when I was hired as chief, I want to get us to 10. NFPA asked that we have 17 firemen on a fire scene. We're not gonna make it to 17, but the plan is to get us to 10 per shift. If you take the city, we work with the city in a mutual aid agreement, we would receive 7 personnel on a fire call from their scene, and that's where we're trying to get to 10, because on a normal response, you would get an engine. Hopefully, they'll get paid firemen back on ambulances, and you'll have to have one of those ambulances on the scene, so that's where I'm trying to get the 17 people from.
Yeah, I just didn't ever remember hearing.
I don't think we'll ever have the 17 paid county firemen per shift.
Yeah, no,
Our budget does not. Well, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. I don't believe the budget, the county's budget will ever be able to get us to 17 paid firemen per shift, but I think we can eventually get to 10. Any other questions about staffing? I know I've heard retention rates and recruitment rates. I can tell you, since I've been the chief since October of 2020, we have hired 18 personnel. We have retained 13 personnel, which is a 72% rate. Of those 5 that we lost, 3 are no longer in the fire service altogether. So honestly, we've only lost 2 members that we had hired to other departments out of the 18.
And you attribute that to us getting the pay rates increased?
Pay rates are closer. Now, we're starting to fall behind again. I know you don't want to hear that. But, since we adjusted the pay rates, we were upwards of the middle of the pack. We're trending to the bottom of the middle now. So hopefully we continue to move forward and make sure we keep those pay rates. I have put in for a 3% increase to keep us there, but we hopefully in January we'll be able to present those again and get those approved. But we're doing really well on equipment. We're doing really well on pay. The next thing I think we should look at is probably a fire station at some point, because you all made a considerable investment in our department and the equipment and the vehicles. And I think in order to maintain that, we need to look at probably building a new fire station to house that equipment and those vehicles to maintain the current status of those. So we've done really well in my opinion, we've done really well to maintain firemen and keep our firemen. And it's largely because of our pay and our equipment. The only thing that I think that we could do to improve that is we have gotten considerably younger in our department. Our average age was at 48. We're down to 36 years of age now, so we're getting younger. The only thing that comes with younger is men and women trying to start a family, and family plan insurance is somewhere that we are behind on, because a lot of other departments offer family plan insurance. Our family plan insurance is somewhere around $1,100 a month. So if you're at a starting salary of 45 and you pay $1,100, you're paying out over $13,000, $14,000 for insurance. So that'll cut into your bring home. I think one of our new recruits, we figured his bring home at about $22,000 per year right now on a starting salary. So hopefully we can get that up in the near future, but I think we're doing really well on our staffing. We're at full staff right now. Hopefully next year we can go to 10, and that's that has been my plan since being hired as chief.
But you consider the fire department at full staff?
Yes,
right
sir.
now?
We are currently, for what we're budgeted, we are at full staff with this 9 men. 9 men per shift. This status change will get us there. We have a recruit class going on. We're only at 8 right now, but when the recruit class graduates in December, we'll be at 9 per shift.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you, Judge.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Any other questions? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have considered an order to hire a part-time firefighter, Andrew Royce,
So moved.
by Magistrate Davis, second by Magistrate Constantopoulos. Any discussion?
I think Chief might have explained this last time about the effective date and then the effective date of the order being different. I believe you explained that, but you're going to have to refresh my memory.
It's going on here. So I always submit the order, the effective date being the day that the fiscal court, he has not worked yet.
Okay.
And he will not work until you all approve it. I make sure of that, so.
I thought that's what you said, but I couldn't
He has
remember.
not worked today for our department yet and will not unless you approve him and vote on it.
Good, thank you.
And the start date, that will be the day that he works, for the very first time That will be the start date that we put in the, as a like employment system.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
it, yeah.
I'm like Janet, it's
I'll
not
do
in
it.
here. I will answer that part of it for
Yeah.
her.
Okay, anything else? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Then we have an order to appoint Kenny Gay to the Parks and Rec Board, and he would be fulfilling the unexpired term of Debbie Fatkin.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion by Magistrate Blanton, second by Magistrate Thompson. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We have our spay and neuter grant program that we're going to approve here. I was just looking back at
Motion to
Adriana.
approve.
Okay.
Second.
Daniel? Blanton?
Davis got it.
Who? Davis? Okay.
They got the second.
Motion by Blanton, second by Davis. Discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Adrian, I'll get that signed and we'll get it back to them, right? Okay, on item 22, consider recommendation from the Broadband Committee. Daniel, you and I have had some conversations about that.
Yeah,
We're not ready to
we're not
make a-
making a conversation, so I'll
Okay.
just make a motion that we table that.
Table this till maybe the next meeting or until a certain time, we'll
Until a
take it
certain
off the
time,
table.
Second.
So it's just table. Motion by Magistrate Constantopoulos, second by Magistrate Davis. Any questions? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Couple of things. We do have closed session items today. We do have an order, an hire order for the road department, if I can find it. And this would be hiring Zachary Bentley as a light equipment operator, and it's effective today as well.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Magistrate Davis, second by Magistrate Constantopoulos. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We have an order to surplus some vehicles at the Sheriff's Department.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Magistrate Thompson, second by Magistrate Constantopoulos. Any discussion?
No other agency can use them in Clark County or Winchester.
You transferred.
What's that? We're transferring one to the school
One of the school, yeah.
out of the four, or was it five? Five.
Okay.
And then the rest will be offered up, I think we're going to do it on public auction, on the electronic auction.
Judge, I had requested one of those vehicles.
Yes, but that one is not on the surplus order, is it? That was the, that was the Tahoe. We haven't surplused that one yet. That one's still kind of in negotiations.
No problem.
But right now, I think we're going to use it as a pool vehicle. We're going to try to use it as a pool vehicle, and I think Sheriff Purdue's going to make that available to the fire department as well if you all need a pool vehicle
Fantastic.
during the interim. Okay. Do we have a motion in a second? All right, any more discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Do want to note we have a coroner's report, and I think we've got a fire department report. Did you provide us?
Yes, sir, I provided one.
Yep, we've got that here. Don't know if the magistrates have any questions. Might be getting anything, though.
I'll just say thank you all for those reports.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's very nice.
Yeah, it's been very good for the magistrates. And we laid on your desk also the Community Foundation Funds Committee, which is Magistrate Thompson, Elkins, and Davis, I think.
Correct.
And we've set a meeting for November the 4th, and we're going to advertise that, and they're going to consider those grant applications that we got. All righty, that's all I've got. Now, oh, yes. Thank you, Alicia. Okay. Our life insurance benefit, and there's a $500 concern that Alicia and I have, and she's going to try to explain that to us and kind of get some direction from the fiscal court on what we should do.
Okay. So, the life insurance, we provide the like employer portion. I think it's like 20,000 or 25,000. I'm not for sure what it is. And Janet isn't in the room to tell me. And then like the employees, like a few employees, when we used to work with that old broker, they offered, but the like, I like the add-on policy as well. And so there's an employer portion, but then the like employee portion for some people. And what used to happen is that we paid the bill, that it came in, and that we paid it on the 1st, and we just moved on. And now that we started about the new payroll account, because but we knew that there were the reconciliation, but the problems in that old bank account. Then I started but to reconcile and make sure that we weren't paying but for the terminated employees, that we weren't paying the employee paid policies but for the terminated employees. And so I started that in February. And so I'm like, Janet, she goes in, she terminates them out of the system as well. And so that all goes to the billing. But they take, I put like several months to credit us back for that billing. So we terminated an employee. I was like this month, but we may not get the credit, but until like December or January. And so the first problem was that they wanted us to pay at the first of the month, but for that current month. And that is not the way that we operate. I'll pay for employees that we don't have. And so, like, they did give us the 30-day, they called it like extension, but it's just that we pay it the 30 days instead of the first. And then, like, they told me that I was not supposed to be taking the credits for the terminated employees. And I don't agree, because that is not the way that we're supposed to spend out the county funds. And that would be like a lot of the reconciliation. We would like have to track it for months and months and make sure that they paid us back. So they are saying that there is a discrepancy of $500. Let me find an exact amount that they said that they were going to terminate us for $567 about 58 cents. And I don't show that we owe that money, and I need to know where to go from here.
Just have the county attorney write them a letter and tell them where you stand.
Yeah.
Okay, we could.
I think.
Because they want to terminate our services for $500.
Well, let's have the county
that
attorney
we don't know.
take your information and put them on notice that we're not behind and your reasoning why.
Because the implied
And I
part of
do the
this, and
reconciliation.
Alicia may have mentioned it, they cannot prove it to us where that
Exactly.
$567
Exactly.
Yeah, like they do.
is owed.
Because like they do. Like if you all, I remember the WEX, the bill that we.
Exactly.
That they credit the bill that I sent out for the month. Then they credited to the previous month, and I was like, well, that's not what I sent it for. Like I sent it for the month of October or the month of September or whatever. But they credited it to the past due balance. But that should actually be the terminated employees.
There's no reason we can't take the credit, I don't think, in this case.
Exactly. And I agree with that.
I
That's
agree
not the
with
way that we
you,
should
and
spend the
I-
county
I
funds.
think
Do we
just-
have, I'm sorry, do we
Go
have a
ahead.
broker that helped us with this life insurance or no?
We did, yes,
We did?
yes.
We don't now.
We
Right.
don't know.
because
That's
it's
what
like
you're-
a
I think
closed
that's what you're
pilot
asking.
program. Right,
This doesn't come under the umbrella of our
of our current broker.
USI, and, yeah.
Does you, I mean, just as an avenue, I mean, we can always, search this. Do they do that type of work as well as to shop out the life insurance?
I do not know, and I could talk to Janet and go through that way. My recommendation is that we no longer provide the life insurance. I would like we provide the dental insurance instead, and that way that the employees that they can get the immediate benefit instead of the potential benefit for life insurance. But that's up to you all. on
And she
that.
wanted, and you also talked about adding the vision, providing the
Oh,
vision.
that's what I meant. The vision. But not, I like not the dental, I'm sorry.
Because right
We only
now-
provide the dental and the single payer health insurance.
Yeah. Right now, we don't provide the vision, but that would be the trade-off is, since we're having so many issues with the life, the vision is a lot easier to deal with and provide the employees with the vision. That's just a suggestion.
It's just, something to think about.
But we
for
will-
the end of the
Is
year.
the cost the same?
No. The vision is just like a little bit more, and maybe, the life insurance is like $5 and like 78 cents a person at the moment. And the vision, I think, is like $17 or something like that. But I mean, they only get the life insurance. I like benefit if they pass away. I like while they're working here, so it is a benefit back to their family. But that is the benefit is if they're no longer here.
And what did you say the life insurance policy is for?
It is for 20 or 25,000.
Enough to cover
Yeah, I'm
funeral
not for
costs,
sure.
probably.
Yeah, to like 20. Everybody's at 20 or 25. And I don't have Janet in here. I'm so sorry. Like she would know that exact information.
I think first off, we figure out what the deal is with this and get the county attorney involved in it, and then we can have discussions about the other
Exactly,
stuff. But,
exactly.
we get more information.
I mean, but they did say that they wanted to try to terminate us like last Thursday. We're going to terminate us, and I said absolutely not, and that I needed to get allied with the fiscal court, and I'd like find a solution from here. They didn't write me back, but I don't think we're terminated. So I don't think they liked their response, but
So we will talk with the county attorney. We will
yeah, I will forward
communicate
all
this.
I'll
and-
forward the information, but to the county attorney. And
Okay.
I would like to get him in on the conversation. Sure.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
all
Alicia.
very much.
Thank you, Alicia. Okay, magistrates, we have 3 items for closed session. We have a personnel matter, 1 specific employee personnel matter. We have a contract negotiations with regard to an RFP, and we have potential litigation. I need a motion to adjourn to closed
So
session.
moved.
Take a motion by Magistrate Blanton, second by Magistrate Davis. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
We will adjourn to closed session. We will return to open session before we adjourn our fiscal court meeting. Thank you.